Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we will be looking at NgRx, how we can use NgRx in our micro-frontend applications. So we are using NX libraries to maintain the NgRx for us and how the micro-frontends communicates between the states. This video is sponsored by fettypad.com. If you are in Australia and want to buy some paintings, please visit their site. Let's get started. So I have a project with micro-frontends. So as we can see over here, I have two micro-frontends. One is card and another one is shell, shop, and another one is cell. Cell is the main application over here, and we will use how we can use NgRx, which is a state management library, which is very useful in case of micro-frontends if you are sharing a state among the micro-frontends. So we'll just see how we can run this micro-frontends, and we will add an NgRx to it. To run the micro-frontends, we have a command that I've already done lots of videos on this one. So I'll put a description in the below so you can have a look and reference. So we have a command NxServe cell. Cell is the host application, and open, we are opening our dev remotes, which are card and shop in my case. So if we just run this application, so it will run and it will bring up the screen that has home, which is a cell, which is the default one running on 4220. And if we click to shop, it will go to the shop, and card, it will go to the card. Now let's add NgRx to it. To add a NgRx, we have a command again. So the basic concept of the NgRx on micro-frontend using the NX is that we will have a root application, in my case, which will be cell. On this root application, we will add a NgRx root, and all the others micro-frontend will consume those NgRx using the feature, because in NgRx we have a module for feature. So we will use that for feature module in our NX libraries to communicate among the micro-frontends. To create a feature library, we need to create a shared library in micro-frontend. Why? Because different micro-frontends can communicate only with the shared libraries. They cannot communicate with individual libraries because there is no link between the micro-frontends. So we need to create a shared library, and that shared library we will access all the NgRx root and state based on that. So we need to add NgRx root to the main application. In our case, it is a cell. So let's add first the NgRx to the root application. So if we check the git, I don't have anything. So if I run this command, which is again the command that is from NX document. So if we just go to NX document, and over here we have a feature workflow, which is based on that what I've told. And how do you add the feature to it? You need to first add an initial setup. In this one, it's a module. In which module it is adding? The same thing. For my case, NXG, NRWL Angular, and NgRx cell. And this is the root application for me cell. And on that cell, I have a app.module so that it can access as a root. So if I just run this one, so there is another module in NX to add a facade. So you can add a facade, it's optional, or you don't want to add. But if you don't want to write a lot of codes in the reducer section, you can use this facade. It's very useful. So I will just add yes to it, and we'll see how it adds. So if we go back to our git, if we see, it added a component store effect, all those NgRx things, and in our module, it has added store for module as a root application. So this is how we will add NgRx as a root for our application. So let's commit all these changes so that we can add an NX module as a library and we can see the change. Now, as I told, we need to add we need to add an Angular library for NgRx to communicate among the microservices. So it's a basic. I'm going to that documentations, and over here we have a feature workflow. So we just first need to create a library. It's a simple Angular library, that is no different. So over here it says products, so I'll just use that one. And if we check here and see the project structure, it creates a libs of product with just a single Angular library. So let's commit this one again. This time I will use a terminal. Now the concept of library using the NgRx in NX is that this library libs, which is a product, this is for feature. So NgRx to this library. So if you see over here, to manage the features we need NgRx. Now we need to provide NgRx to this library. For this we can just simply copy this command, which is this. In over here it says state, add a directory as state as product and no initiative, and there is a module which is this one. It's the same module that is pointing to that. So if we just press this one, and we see the changes over here, so it adds all those selector reducers and actions and all those. Now in the module we can see the 4 feature has been added because the library and NX and NgRx works as a feature, 4 feature. That's why the 4 features it's been used over here. So this is the base scenario how to add NgRx to NX Micro-Frontend. So I will just show you how we will communicate. Now we have added the NgRx to the main application. In our case it was a cell. Now how do the other micro-frontends, they will access those NgRx states? We cannot create another state in other micro-frontends, and we cannot use again to do all those things. That's why we have a concept of shared libraries in micro-frontends using NX. So we have created that library called NX state. Now how do the other micro-frontend nodes that we need to use this one? For that we need to create one settings, which if you go to the documentation of theirs, inside the shared libraries over here on the structure, see they have clearly mentioned over here. So everything I have done the same thing. So we need to create one file called moduleFederation.config.js, and in this one we have something called core libraries. In the core libraries we need to add all those NgRx things over here. So if you see all those NgRx things over here, and in the other micro-frontend, suppose in my case, if we check the product micro-frontend, and in one of the app, like if you see inside the provider I have that product category store, which is coming from the library. So if you go, it is inside the libs and this product category store. So it is acting as a provider and this one. But if we don't specify the core library, if you don't specify this NgRx in the configuration of this module federations, you will not get any state of the application. So it is always giving you blank states. So this was the process how we can add micro-frontend with NX libraries using NgRx for state management. In the next video we will use Graal VM with micro-frontend with microservice, and how the Graal VM is really giving us performance boost in the backend application.